welcome to the Common Briefing Program, a part of the Common Geeking Program podcast, where each month we take a look at the hottest headlines from geek news the world over. And I say the world over, but we're all in the United States, so that's kind of the focus most of the times, or at least the lens through which we view it. I'm Colin Ketchen. I tend to host these geeky affairs, and I'm going to lead a recap of what we think are the most important or interesting headlines in geek news from December of 2020.
2021, my bud.
That is
we're doing an episode from over a year ago.
Sorry,
look, I know 2020 and 21 blur together, but
together, yeah. Well, what happened was I went to pull up the keyword because, like, in our chat, I always leave little headlines, and I searched for December. Apparently, in December 2020, I typed December 2020 as the header.
Yeah.
And in December 2021, I decided to abbreviate, and I just typed the word December. So
yeah, it's going to be a problem next year.
Yeah, it's going to be really confusing. So just over a year ago, I set myself up to fail because of my own short attention span. But again, my name is Colin. I'll be leading this conversation, joined by my steadfast friends who can introduce themselves, because clearly I'm not doing so great.
Hi, I'm Timul or Chowder, whichever you prefer. I'm a little sad because I finished my Fruity Pebble Kit Kats, and those are good.
You should be
I thought you were going to say sad about anything but that. That is, that really did surprise me.
Listen, man, if you had some of these Fruity Pebble Kit Kats, you'd be
sounds good.
Ecstatic about them too.
There's a lot of whack-ass shit that they put in Kit Kats nowadays, so Fruity Pebble seems like probably a good one.
Pretty tame on the spectrum of kit to cat.
Like it straight up tastes like fruity cereals, like Fruit Loops or Fruity Pebbles. Like they're called Fruity cereal.
I mean, hey, they got it in one. Good, says it there right on the label. Perfect. Who else is talking?
I already introduced myself. Chowder just
did you?
Spoke right the fuck over me. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, Jeff. I didn't even hear Chowder talk over you. I just straight up couldn't hear you. So maybe somebody in the internet decided Chowder was first today. So if you wouldn't mind saying it again, because I'm not doubling back in the edit for that.
I'm Jeff Levitt, and my sort of recent thing that I've been doing is I've been going back and trying to collect all of the like 1,500 spirits in Smash Ultimate, and that's what I've been doing for the past few weeks. I have all but one of them.
That's 1,500. That sounds like a goddamn grind.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them you just kind of get when you're doing the story mode. So I don't know, like a few weeks ago, how many I had starting off versus how many the only one that I don't have is like they do special events or whatever occasionally. Like there was a Metroid Dread event that I missed, or apparently I didn't miss it because I have two of them that are from that, but the third one I don't have, so I just kind of have to wait till they eventually recycle that event, and that's the only one I don't have, and that's rough.
You are really speaking to my experience as a Destiny player, because the holiday event is ending later today, and I've fully neglected it for reasons I'll explain in a bit. But I was texting our friend Laura, and she was like, I'm just going to play Ori today. I'm like, cool. I think I might play Destiny because I haven't baked all the cookies and Space Grandma's about to take away my Easy Bake Oven. And that's just kind of the energy that video games have been giving me lately. So that might not sound like I'm relating to you, but I promise it is.
No, it's just really frustrating when I was like looking through the list and seeing how to get them all, and I found out like there's several that are like from events like that, but I guess just happenstantially I happened to get all but one of them. Even like there are 3 from this Metroid Dread event, and I have 2 of them, even though I have no memory of doing spirit battles in Smash around the time that Metroid Dread came out. So I got Samus from Metroid Dread, and I got the Emmy, but there's still a Chozo warrior that is eluding me.
Yeah, the only reason I want to get all the cookies is because in like 5 weeks, I don't want Austin to come at me and say like, hey, Colin, why didn't you get this one cookie-related gun? And I'm just like, I don't know, man. I was tired.
How dare you?
I'll bake my cookies for guns. I'll do that later today. I guess we can kind of take it right in. To the news, unless you guys are feeling particularly strongly about something. I usually do a vibe check, but hey, spoiler alert, I had a very busy weekend and I'm tired, so I don't want to bring the mood down with a vibe check on my end.
Fair enough.
I guess we're going in. All right,
yeah,
cool.
Let's do it.
Going into December news, I'm only going to talk about a handful of things, and they're all very squarely in my wheelhouse. The first thing I want to discuss is Halo Infinite, because last time we talked about Halo Infinite is a lot of crazy stuff. They had just given us the surprise release of Halo Infinite's multiplayer component, and there were a lot of problems with the progression. Those issues have, by and large, been addressed. We got more playlists, we got challenges that better reflect how you play the game, that reward you more frequently, making it easier to level up and make it not feel like quite as much of a grind. And I've been having a very good time with it. So it's not all fixed yet. They have some other things that they have to work on, but at that point, we're getting into the minutia. Like, I think the only thing that was interesting to everybody was the fact that they surprised us with a game that had a really bad part to it, and now that bad part is not as bad. So it's like, pretty good.
Cool.
But that's not really what I want to talk about. Multiplayer
must have
fine,
been
but...
a publicity stunt. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, yes, top to bottom. And now we have passed the official launch date of Halo Infinite, which released the story-driven campaign, which is, it does a lot of things. It's characterized as a sequel to 2015's Halo 5 Guardians, whose campaign was not well received for very good reasons, and also as a spiritual reboot of Halo 1, and also as kind of a new starting point for new players, and also as a reinvention of the core formula of Halo. So it's a big, complicated story mode for a video game that can best be summed up by, this feels like if Halo was made today. This doesn't feel like someone making a sequel to Halo. It feels like someone looked at the original Halo Combat Evolved from 2001 and was like, okay, but how do we make that in 2021? That is all vague and confusing. But essentially what has been released to us is a quasi-open world Halo game, which sounds maybe a little boring because Halo is frequently just running and gunning through very tightly designed hallways or very curated open areas, navigating openly between objectives. But they found a way to increase the size of both of those, and it turns out you only needed one magic thing to improve Halo's gameplay to the point where it can sustain the sort of open, free navigation. And that thing is a grappling hook.
Mm-hmm.
This game is so goddamn fun. Because what always kind of made Halo fun was even though you were in these tight hallways or these closely designed levels, it wasn't like your Pokemons where, everything is sort of on rails to an extent. Like, you can experience things and customize your experience in different ways by changing what you bring to the table. But walking around, the most exciting thing that's going to happen is you end up in a Pokemon battle.
Yeah.
This is more like Zelda, where, like, elements in the world can interact in ways that you do not expect. And Halo has always had a lot of...
It's like how Zelda realized, I know how to improve The Legend of Zelda. Give them a paraglider.
Yeah, pretty much. Halo Infinite very much evokes the ethos of Breath of the Wild in some ways. I don't want to say, this is the Breath of the Wild of Halo, because Breath of the Wild revolutionized games. Halo Combat Evolved also revolutionized games. I think that's reductionist to say. But the idea of saying these games have gotten maybe a little too focused on things that maybe didn't make the franchise special. What if we just open it back up, go back to the original idea, and expand on it, extrapolate it, and give you a big playground? So you're running around with a grappling hook, and you can use that grappling hook to pull bombs closer to you, switch weapons, latch onto an enemy, scale an actual fucking mountain. If an airplane is flying by you, you can grapple onto the airplane and steal it and fly away. And it turns an open world game, which you might think would be something like Far Cry or Assassin's Creed, which is like, cool, I have this huge map, and I have to go check off every single box on the map in order to complete the game. And that's just sort of a time padded out grind of just completing a checklist. The freedom of Halo and that Breath of the Wild ethos, that Halo Combat Evolved ethos, turns that into a gigantic sandbox that is crazy fun to fuck around in. And that is the breath of fresh air that I think these these games needed. On top of that, the art direction has changed very much since 343 took over, and this feels like a course correction where they leaned very much into the Tron-like hard sci-fi, smooth metal, shiny neon lines for a couple of games, and now they've reverted to sort of like the big obelisk, mysterious, moody Pacific Northwest forest with sun peeking through the trees aesthetic that, even though it's not the most graphically impressive game I've played recently, I said the word moody, and I'll say it again. It feels like you're grounded in a place that is fun to explore. When you're in underground caves and tunnels, it's just like oozing attitude and full of sort of mystique in a way that the original Halos were. So that's the return to form. I think it struggles in a few places. While there's a lot of really good character stuff in the story, I don't think it does a good job of explaining the world compared to previous Halo games, which were just basically, the original Halo trilogy was kind of like action movies that you could play. You have a silent protagonist. It's like, hey, Chief, what if it's a trap? It is. Oh, God, Chief, what are we going to do? Finish the fight. Like, that's the level of dialogue that you're getting most of the time. It does dovetail into some really nice character stuff, but I'm being a little meandering because the game itself is meandering, and at the end of the day, it's a little messy, but it is just straight up fun to run around this game and shoot stuff. It has presented me with characters that I am interested in for the first time in nearly a decade in this franchise. So all in all, pretty resounding success. And considering this was 6 years in development hell and a ton of like top people left during development, and their showcase last year was really poorly received, this game is now in the top 5 of like pretty much every major game of the year list out there, which really surprised the hell out of me. So it's good. Halo Infinite is really good. It's worth playing. If you have Game Pass, it is included. And if you're looking for a fun single-player game, it's a good one. It's a good shooter, a lot of fun, feels great. There's another bit of Halo news. Just after the campaign released,
Hold on. Let me just go on a tangentially related topic.
Yes.
I always hate the trope or cliche of, like, the heroes know they're going into a trap, but then they go into the trap
They go in anyways.
Like in Final Fantasy 13, an awful game that, like, I would consider the worst story mankind has ever told.
Impressive.
But like there is a part where the evil Empire dudes are like making a broadcast, and the heroes are like, they're clearly making this broadcast to like lure us into a trap. And then one guy's like, well, there's only one thing we can do. Walk into the trap like heroes, and everyone else agrees, and I fucking hate it because it's always just like, if you know it's a trap, work around it. You can plan.
Yeah, it works a bit better in Halo because it is literally just a giant tank man who is known for doing crazy shit. That is just like, yep, this is dangerous, but I'm smart and cool enough to do it. And the game rewards you because if you walk into something that the game tells you is a trap, it's probably like a boss fight or a difficult encounter, and you, the player, need to be smart enough to figure that shit out, because if you're not, you're going to die. So, like, I think if you try to like make a complex multi-threaded story and you use that line of dialogue, it doesn't work as well as just B-movie action where you are big tank man, go punch things. I think it works a lot better in that context because you're just like, yep, I'm a big dumb tank man, let me go punch things. But let me tell you, every time he said he walked into a trap, I was like, this is not going to be a trap. And then I died a lot. So, he was right. I should have listened. Other Halo news. Halo TV show finally got a trailer. I'm
excited about this. This looks fun.
Halo. Yeah, I did not love the trailer, but those are but mostly art direction stuff that doesn't give me a lot of hope. But,
really? I thought it looked pretty good. You don't think so?
I thought it looked pretty good, but here's the context. Master Chief is an 800-pound man, and the weight of his costume definitely looked like...
Hold on a second. Is Master Chief himself 800 pounds, or
with the suit?
With the arm, with the suit? Okay.
With the 2 inches of fucking steel or whatever.
Gotcha.
You're saying it didn't sell the weight.
I think that there are a lot of things in the aesthetic of this trailer that didn't sell the weight, the movement, the wear and tear of the stuff. Like, everything in this trailer looks exceptionally well produced, but it doesn't really look lived in. So what I feel like we're going to get, and this is just my fear, this is not based on anything, this is purely impressions. I feel like we're going to get a show that is like technically excellent on a ton of levels, but is lacking a sense of artistry.
Yeah, I can
because
see that.
And that I think I'm pulling that from my experience with the games, where as much as I enjoy Halo 4 and Halo 5, they do lack some, like I said, that moodiness that the original Halos sort of had, where even if the game wasn't the prettiest thing out there, you're like, I feel like I'm in a place. I feel like I'm in the middle of something interesting.
Right.
And I don't know. I did not get a sense that the show is maybe looking at that level of artistry so much as it is excellent execution.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
The news about the show that is interesting to me is a lot of people, we saw some things in the trailers that harken back to Halo 2, a slightly different design on his armor, and we're like, when does this take place? How does this relate to, the 8 story games or the fucking 20, 30 story books, Kiki Wolfkill, one of the executive producers at 343 Industries, the studio that develops Halo now and is working with Paramount Plus on the show, has said that this timeline is separate from the games and books. They are calling it the Halo Silver timeline so that the show is not beholden to previously established canon.
It's an adaptation, yeah?
Essentially, yeah. It's an adaptation. I think
that's
people
not within the
expected
canon of the game. That's fair.
Correct. So I think a lot of people were expecting it. I myself was expecting it to be canon with the games in a shared universe.
Right.
That is not going to be the case.
Well,
to be honest, I do like that decision.
Yeah.
Just because games.
It worked for Arcane and League of Legends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Arcane is fucking amazing, and League of Legends is League of Legends. I don't know.
Because doesn't that mean that, if it were in the same canon as the game, doesn't that mean that it couldn't really take place during any, events that you actually play? Whereas now they could you could just actually, do retellings of the things that you actually do during the game, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think we were expecting an adaptation of an existing game, but it is more an adaptation of the Halo universe.
Right.
And I think that's fine. I just don't know what to expect as far as the story. I like being surprised by things, and I'm generally open to changes in franchises I like. So I'm pretty down with this. That actually excites me more than the trailer itself does.
Yeah.
Not because I think it's inherently good, but because I like the world of Halo. It's cheesy, but I think it's interesting. It does some really cool sci-fi stuff other franchises don't do, and if the show is a new place for them to do that, I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see, with video game adaptations, it's always pretty bad unless it's just mediocre, or I guess it's kind of there really is the full range, but it always feels like just extreme ends of the spectrum,
People have been getting better
mostly
at
it's either mediocre or
just very, very
bad. Comically bad.
Well, again, weirdly enough, Sonic the Hedgehog is one of the things that has sort of turned the opinion on this a little bit.
I would classify Sonic the Hedgehog as mediocre.
Well, do you mean?
But
no, yeah, it's
it was a fine movie, but it's not really
I share your
adaptation
opinions
of
on
the
this.
Story of Sonic at all, right?
No, it's super different. It is, but it is an adaptation of the character in the same way that I think the Halo TV show will be an adaptation of
I think
here's
that's
another
the thing.
Master Chief.
That's the thing for me that brings it down to mediocrity, is that it's not really an adaptation of the source material. It's just an adaptation of the character, and then there, obviously there's elements.
It's on the same level as that He-Man movie.
Yeah, I feel that.
The one with Dolph Lundgren.
Well, I think Jeff, I would straight up disagree with you. I think that if you're judging it by its accuracy to the source material, that's one thing. But I think the problem with video game adaptations hasn't necessarily been whether or not they accurately adapt the story, but whether or not the products are good. The fucking 2016 Assassin's Creed movie is a really strong adaptation of the material, but it's not a fun movie at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem.
That exists.
I really think that
Most
the problems are kind of twofold with that, Colin, where it's just I think that, a lot of movies that are very bad video game adaptations also part of their core problem is that they're just not adapting the thing actually. Like what's springing to mind is the Super Mario Brothers movie with like, all the fucking Koopas with like the tiny head people walking around. And obviously some of that is limited because it's like, live action. Like they couldn't do a bunch of fucking CG animals and shit like that, right? But like the core problem with that movie, why it was always destined to fail, like it's a bad movie regardless, but is like it's just not an adaptation of Mario. Yeah. It just uses some characters in some weird ways. I think the only one that I've been like really stunned with so far as a video game adaptation is Detective Pikachu. I really like that movie. And
I really like Detective Pikachu too.
Yeah. And at least it is an adaptation of Detective Pikachu, so which is a game. So that's fair, I think, in terms.
Well, I think adapting from video games is uniquely challenging because, like, again, going back to the B-movie style of Master Chief's dialogue throughout the games, like the original Halo trilogy, the point of him was to be like a brain dead character, not like a stupid person, but like a character that didn't get in the way of you. Stepping into the role of Master Chief. Like, they didn't want him to say anything that would bump you out of it. So the thing that makes Halo stories sing is the way you experience it, and you can't just adapt that into a movie. So I think the reason that you sometimes see these video game adaptations depart so wildly is because, like, you can't adapt certain things from a game, and that's why I'm, like, glad to see a different timeline with this. Even if it ends up being terrible, I'm curious to see, like, what else can they add to this story in this context. Because if you just straight rip Halo 1 into a movie, it would probably not be very intriguing.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're doing a TV show is like you have to stretch that out even further. So I don't know. I tend not to worry about, like, is it an accurate adaptation? If they claim to be trying to do an accurate adaptation and they fail, that's one thing. But if they're just trying to say we're giving you Halo on your TV, I'll see what they got in store. Again, Sonic, not a one-to-one adaptation, but like, hey, that felt like the character I know from the games. It felt like a take on it. Just I mean, but also Sonic's lore is so fucking inscrutable that
but there's some people that I'm sure that would really like to see an adaptation of that inscrutable lore. You know what I mean?
Oh yes, but that's also why those aren't the people making the movies.
Anyway,
little bit of Sonic news because I've gone a little more than I wanted. So little Sonic news. We got a trailer for Sonic Frontiers arriving holiday of 2022. This game is going to feature, quote, open zone design. So it feels like it's going to be like Halo, where they never characterize it as open world because you've still got these linear sections, but it's like it's a big Halo playground. It is and it isn't an open world game. And so now everybody's like, to repeat the refrain I said at the beginning, is this going to be Sonic's Breath of the Wild?
Yeah, like a few years ago, we had like a bunch of games like taking elements from Dark Souls, and now it's a bunch of games taking elements from Breath of the Wild. You know?
Which is like, it's a good
I'm sure
thing
we'll be
to
talking
learn...
about that. Talking about that next month after someone's got their hands on Legends Arceus, right?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, people need to learn good lessons from games like Breath of the Wild. It is a special game that did very good things for the industry. But again, it's pretty reductive to say, is this Sonic's Breath of the Wild? Because there is a Sonic game that is just like open level design, and there's not really a single path to go in. And it's called Sonic CD, and it's a very novel and interesting game.
Okay, but Sonic CD is two-dimensional. It
is two-dimensional. It is, but I've played the hell out of it, and let me tell you, taking Sonic, which is all about going fast in a straight line, and making it open is not an intuitive experience, no matter how many dimensions you try to put it in. So I'm very curious to see what this game actually is, because all we saw was like some landscapes and a couple clips, but we really don't know much about it, just that it's going to have bigger, more open zones, more to come in the future.
It sort of reminds me like when, like the style of restaurant where you like, you go up to the counter and you build it as you go, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and people would always describe places like that to me as like, oh, it's like Chipotle, but this, and I'm like, Chipotle did not coin that concept. Like, Subway existed.
If
like,
anything, I attribute it to Subway.
Yeah. Right. Like, just sandwich places in general. But it was like, I had someone a while ago describing like Blaze to me as like Chipotle but with pizza, and I'm like, but Chipotle
that's actually fantastic because like Chowder said, the way that people ape Dark Souls, like there's now an entire subgenre called Souls-like. What if we called all restaurants Subway-likes? You know?
Subway-likes.
There's a great new Subway-like burrito place downtown. It's called Chipotle.
It's just really funny to me because it's like, oh, it's like all these things taking things from Breath of the Wild. I'm like, Breath of the Wild, you mean an open world game? There's already a term for it.
Yes, you know? Breath of the Wild is just a very, very excellent execution of certain video game design mentalities.
And granted, Breath of the Wild, what made it so phenomenal really was like a craftsmanship and like
it's the artistry
and like a close attention to design that like previous open world games haven't. Like you compare like Breath of the Wild to say GTA 4 or 5, and like they are very different. In GTA 5 you can do pretty much anything you'd want to do in a city, but that's not really like the fun of the game. It's kind of cool to say, oh cool, I can go get a haircut and drunk, and it's like, yep, you can. Why?
Right.
Why would you do that? But I think Halo is what has made Halo Infinite so strong is like that sense of, oh, this could have been a bloated Far Cry style game with a million things to do, but really it's just like you have the freedom to do the things you would want to do in Halo, and Zelda did the same thing. We'll see if Sonic does the same thing. Sonic, not a great track record. No idea how that's going to shake out.
I mean, what's promising is that like, you know, you hear stuff from like devs and people from Sega, and they're like, yeah, in the past we've always like kind of rushed out Sonic games, and that has led to varying levels of quality, varying levels of quality, and we decided, you know what, maybe we should give the game time to breathe and let us craft
their worst failures are all things that they rushed out. So I'm hoping that artistry shines through. I had one last thing I wanted to talk about, but we have actually started discussing this a lot more. So there was an article in IGN called "The Battle for Bungie's Soul: Inside the Studio's Struggle for a Better Work Culture." It was another expose about working conditions at the studio that makes Destiny. So you better believe my head turned when I saw that, because I pay a lot of attention to Bungie. I'm not going to go into the details for sake of time. Chowder, I know you usually cover these things, so maybe it'll become related. But essentially the takeaway is there were some really shitty people at Bungie that have slowly been getting weeded out over the years. And that even though a lot of people are coming out and saying, out of the 26 people interviewed, pretty much the sentiment is there were some really shitty people and I was treated like total garbage, but the studio is actively trying to make things better. Like, it's the first time I've read one of these where like even the people being interviewed were like, there's light at the end of this tunnel. And every single employee that has a Twitter account has come out and like said, IGN, thank you for publishing this article. We needed you to give these guys a platform because that will allow us to make more change inside the studio. It is just not the usual, oh, we're going to investigate and hire a third party and then never comment on it again. It's been an actually
hot
different
guy
response.
Going, we're trying to find out who's responsible for this.
Exactly, yeah. It has been the CEO and the public-facing people in the company saying, yeah, this is our fault. And here's what we're doing. And it's just like, I don't want to brush under the rug the experience these people are having. It's worth reading the article if you're interested, but like, it is very refreshing to see someone say like, yeah, I'm sorry, let's fix it.
Yeah, I'm always skeptical though, people can do that? Like see how much of that is just like good PR versus, like, are they saying this now just because it's coming out versus, you know what I mean?
No, I'm not taking the time to dive into it, but I pay a lot of close attention to Bungie. The things that they're saying that they're doing are things that they have already announced in the past, specific initiatives.
Gotcha.
It is worth reading the IGN article because it is very comprehensive if you're curious. This one has a different tone to it. And I was fully prepared to be like, fuck, now I gotta pay attention to the bad stuff at Destiny. And it's what's really funny about it is like when they're describing the low points and like these narrative heads fucking everyone over, those are the points where the game was the worst to play. Like for me as a player, I can track the quality of the game with the quality these people are explaining on the inside. It's I don't know.
Yeah, almost like if you're having a miserable experience while making the game, it's going to translate to a miserable experience with the game itself.
Yeah, but it is heartbreaking to see a studio that I care about so much go through that, and the people there experience it. But it is, I think, all the other people we're talking about, your Activisions, your Ubisofts, your Riots and everything, fucking take notes, guys. There's a way to handle this, and you're not doing it right. Mm-hmm. This is closer than you guys have ever gotten. I'm done. Somebody else, take it away.
All right. So I guess I never really thought about an order in which I would do this, but I guess I'll just jump off what you were saying about shitty development environments. This article that came out today as of recording, January 3rd, from Bloomberg, the next video game from BioShock's creator is in development hell. And basically it's an article about like Ken Levine, creator of System Shock System Shock
I haven't heard
2,
about this. Okay,
BioShock,
tell me.
BioShock and BioShock Infinite. Basically, several devs, both currently working and formerly having worked for Ken Levine's studios, both its current one, Ghost Story, and his previous
Irrational,
one, talking about like how he is just a really shitty person to work with. He is abusive. He is he does not communicate well. He is a manager who does a shit job organizing. His game that he has been working on since BioShock Infinite for 8 years has made practically no progress because he is just doing a shit job, and like he only has a job because of his status as an auteur developer. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a cautionary tale of like video games are for the most part usually a collaborative of medium, and you should not like just raise one person up above everyone and make him beyond reproach.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me about Ken Levine, just because he was like sort of given this rock star status after the runaway success of the BioShock games, and he has dropped off the fucking map, and he's had other projects fall through. And like, again, that Bungie article I just read is like, there are people in here who were treated as rock stars because they were around since the Halo days, and those are the people that were the fucking problem because nobody would keep them in their place or keep them in check, or everyone walk on eggshells around them and then fuck everybody else who isn't them. So it's just like, that sucks because I really want to see what's next from him, but I'm just not surprised. I'm just really not, because he's always spouting ideas about like these big concepts that he wants to execute, and it's like, cool. You know what happened at Halo when they mismanaged anything? They had to bring in the guy who made the original Halo games, who isn't a dickhole, and then finally the game got on track. You can't just have ideas. You need to know how to lead a team and be a human.
Yeah, like really. You can't just like play a game while in the middle of development and be like, guys, stop everything, we're gonna do this now. And it's like,
that's how you get Anthem.
That's how you get Anthem. Yeah. Or that's how you get Final Fantasy 14. Like, a big part of like what went wrong with the development of 14 or 15?
One of them. The bad one.
I think
one of the bad ones.
13's the bad one. 14 is the MMO. I know it started rough, but
okay. I know what I'm talking about now. 13's the really bad one. 14's the MMO. 15's the other bad one that was just an incomplete game. 15. The development for 15 went like horrible, and contributing factor was, some of the leads like changing their mind about stuff midway through, and it's like,
I mean, you see that shit all the time with movies too. Like, when everything is too, like reactionary, and like whoever, some of the people leading it, like execs or whatever, just have to like meddle or change their mind halfway through, and it's just like, it never ends up with a project that feels like a complete thing,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But at least we know when the executives step back, we get masterpieces like The Rise of Skywalker. Oh, wait.
Yep.
Fun times. Anyway,
you just fucking think by now that like executives, like, if they're really so big on like taking in all the information about like how things are received, You'd think that one of those pieces of information that they've taken by now is that executive meddling always fucks things over. Like, it's just so consistent.
Yeah. But sometimes, and like this is the case with like Ken Levine and his stuff. This is not a case of executives meddling in. This is a case
of where executive meddling could have helped.
Yeah, right.
This is a case where like a creative like has a runaway ego and is just uncontrolled, and it is leading to problems.
Yeah, that's the other Star Wars problem, the prequel problem, right?
Yeah.
The two sides of the coin. The sequel trilogy where too much executive meddling, and the prequel trilogy where there is
too much George Lucas control.
Yeah.
And then the originals, which are just right before anyone took him just seriously enough.
Yeah. But next thing I wanted to talk about was Call of Duty Warzone and the mass firings at Raven Software. It's annoying because one, Raven Software has been in the industry for a long time, and two, Activision was doing well. The stuff Ravensoft was working on was hugely successful. Call of Duty Warzone was making crap tons of money. The reason for the firings was so Activision could be like, look at how much growth there is, because we're making so much money and we're not paying as many employees. And it's like, it's infuriating because like, there's no winning. Like, you succeed, you get fired, you fail, you get fired, and like...
was this the instance where a lot of... It was the QA team, the quality assurance team?
Yeah, it was the QA team, yeah.
They were given new positions that required relocation. They did the relocation, and then they got fired? Am I messing that up? Because saying it out loud, I'm like, that seems like cartoonishly evil. Is that what we're talking about?
That is what we are talking about, yes.
Or
like you have that, and you also just have them going, okay, get the fuck out. We don't want you here anymore. And it's, again, infuriating because, one, QA testers, quality assurance, they make sure the game
actually works.
It isn't a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And two, they're gonna be upset when eventually the Call of Duty Warzone can't keep up with the demands because they fired a bunch of people, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, why are you this? Why?
For anyone that doesn't know, Call of Duty Warzone is the free-to-play Battle Royale installment of Call of Duty that is evergreen and runs all the time and runs off microtransactions. And like Chowder said, it is incredibly profitable. Like, only a year old, billions of dollars profitable.
Yeah. And it's just like, you make so much money. And we all know for fact, like, there have been reports and what have you of Activision just paying zero in taxes. It's just like, why do you even need to bother with these firings? I know why. We know why, because, you got to report to your shareholders, hey, we're experiencing growth. And it's like, sometimes you plateau because you've made all the money. There's nowhere else to go, but... I guess we gotta grow somehow.
You're milking your employees' bloods from stones.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Anyway, so the people at the Call of Duty Warzone devs have staged a walkout over these layoffs. Let's see, as of December 7th, I mean they've staged a walkout, out hoping that maybe it'll get Activision to listen. Who knows? So that's more infuriating news. Let's talk about even more infuriating news.
Yeah, dude. Activision is just really shitting the bed over the past few years, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, they've been shitting the bed for decades at this point.
Well, fair, but I mean, big stories in terms of Activision sucking for one reason or another, I feel like have been on our radar for the past like 24 months.
No,
at
Activision's
least.
having a bad year. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's kind of they and Kellogg's are doing the same thing. We're taking their branding off their products so that people don't associate their products with them.
Yeah, fuck Kellogg's.
Exactly. Yeah, fuck Kellogg's. So more infuriating news. Let's talk about NFTs. And like, I'm taking several stuff up and just grouping it together because the worst. Anyways, let's start off with Stan Lee. We had
so mad.
we had a tweet from like Stan Lee's account where it's like, from championing diversity to embracing new tech, Stan was one step ahead of the curve. To honor his innovative spirit, Stan's first superhero, Chakra the Invincible, debuts in his own NFT. And it's like, you are taking the corpse of Stan Lee and just parading it around in order to sell, like, this imaginary monopoly money bullshit. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck? What new low can you reach? I'll tell you what new low you can reach. How about making NFTs out of George Floyd, yes. Yeah. And it's like, what the fuck? And like, these pictures are such garbage quality. It's like shit effort pixel art that like I could do in 5 minutes. And it's like George Floyd and various like,
I'll wait till you finish listing your things, because I know you have at least one or two other things on here. But I have thoughts.
I mean, the George Floyd thing is particularly sickening because we're talking about a man who was executed by the cops for no good reason, and now you're just propping him up to sell money in your pyramid scheme, and it's just sickening. And then I guess I would like to cap that off with a letter from Square Enix's president, where he's talking about how Square Enix is gonna embrace NFT, and it's like, God, that is infuriating because one, you are doing so well with Final Fantasy 14, and you're gonna fuck it up with NFTs, and like Final Fantasy 14 is super successful, so successful that they have to like have like these long waiting queues for people who play their MMO. And you want to know why there's such a long queue? It's because they can't buy more servers because NFTs and cryptocurrency are like taking up all the goddamn processors and graphics cards. So,
I could not get more than halfway through the article from the Square Enix president because it was all fucking, just corpo talk about, look at me sounding so cool saying words like corpo talk. It was just like broad speech about like, this is an exciting opportunity that allows us to monetize things and provide new experience that players crave, blah, 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 blah. Very Brando from Idiocracy. Exactly. So I mean, the idea of NFTs is, okay. Paul Tassi is a freelance journalist who does a lot of contributing articles to Forbes, very popular in the Destiny community, but he published an article called Why Gaming NFTs Are Not Oblivion Horse Armor 2.0. And I think it does a very good breakdown of everything in this letter that Chowder's referencing, and just saying like, these ideas don't apply to games. Executives are looking at this as a way to monetize digital assets that have not been monetizable to this point and trying to force it into game development. And that's essentially what this letter is saying, is we're going to do this, and it's going to be great because it's going to make us money.
Yeah.
And
it's like, if you read the letter, there's like such contempt for like the
anybody
fact
that doesn't like NFTs. It just seems
there's
like
such contempt for like just single player games, and contempt for just the fact that they're making games, and the contempt for the idea of contempt for the very idea of just doing leisurely activities instead of spending every waking moment of your life grinding and working
and trying to make a profit.
Yeah, it introduces the idea that not introduced, but it talks about the idea that like people want to play games to like earn financial assets in the game, like earn a unique item in the game that is theirs. Like they will earn an NFT through playing. And it's like, again, in this article by Paul Tassi, he does a great job of comparing that to like a very stressful, low-paying job with psychological effects that are not being considered here. This entire letter has no regard for what it is players are actually asking for, the environmental and financial impacts of processing NFTs to begin with, or the irreconcilability of a concept of an NFT with a very a very tight, complicated world of game design. It is the most bloated and ignorant thing I've read in ages, and I literally stopped halfway through the second page just because I was like, this is nonsense. They're gonna get laughed out of court, but
so upsetting.
Who fucking knows?
Like, God, imagine being the president of a company that has made a super successful MMO that is perhaps even surpassing World of Warcraft at this point, and being like, yeah, we're gonna shit all over it. Fuck you.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's like, nobody's saying that NFTs can't possibly provide new experiences, but people aren't talking about that. People are latching on to, whatever buzzwords are in the dialogue right now, the public discourse of NFTs, and saying, well, how do we make money off of this? It's not designers sitting down saying, like, what new experiences can we actually make?
I mean, the thing about NFTs is it's just bad. It's just like a virtual receipt that doesn't really mean anything. And the effect is the destruction of our fucking planet over a JPEG.
Yeah.
And it's like...
I just want a picture of a goddamn hot dog.
And it's just like...
Yeah, it's just like fucking, oh, great. Now you have something official that says you own this specific JPEG, and this is yours. And, like, the fucking capitalist brains wanting to, like, own things that they can resell later is more important than the fact that you literally don't have anything.
It feels very much like motion controls 10 years ago in video games, where the Nintendo Wii came out and legitimately revolutionized gaming. And, everybody else tried to pile on with motion controls, and it fell flat because the Nintendo Wii is like a carefully considered holistic product that takes a new idea and executes on it on an interesting way to provide legitimately new experiences. And then when Microsoft comes out with the Kinect, there's a reason that the Kinect sensor is used more in fucking engineering and medicine than it is in video games, because it was saying, ooh, moving your body. How do we do that? They came up with cool technology. NFTs are a novel thing, whether they're good or bad. I tend to lean toward where Chowder's leaning, but this is not that careful and considered approach. This is not the Nintendo Wii. This is the Microsoft Kinect. There might be something that comes out of it. Cool. But guess what? Nobody's buying Kinect anymore. Kinect almost killed the Xbox.
Yep.
Okay, so I would like to move on to something that makes me a little bit happy.
Thank you.
Yes.
You made me angry, Chowder. God.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so...
That's not your fault. It's my fault.
There was recently a Nintendo Direct for showcasing their indie games coming to the Switch. Nindies. Nindy Direct. Anyways.
Nindies.
Cute.
And, like, there are some really cool things that they announced. First thing I want to talk about is Sea of Stars. It's like this RPG being made by the people who created The Messenger. I haven't played that, but like I know of the game. And it looks freaking gorgeous. It takes inspiration from games like Chrono Trigger, and Chrono Trigger is one of the best JRPGs. It's so fucking good. And like this game, it looks gorgeous. There's like a gorgeous pixel art that's like isometric and like really like pretty looking, a lot of wonderful colors, a lot of like smooth animation. I am a goddamn slut for her good pixel art. I mean, it's true, man. Like, show me some goddamn pixel art, and I'm like, oh yeah. Anyway.
Oh baby, that's the sound I wanted to hear in this recording.
Let's go.
I want a fucking t-shirt that says I am a goddamn slut for pixel art.
For good pixel art.
But yeah.
Careful,
like,
the NFT bros are gonna hear that and they're gonna try to sell it to you.
Oh my god.
But yeah, like this game, the story of this game is, it sounds like a very RPG-esque story about like about like two people, one from like a tribe of the moon and one from the tribe of the sun, working together in order to like avert a big disaster, which is really good and like gives them a good excuse to go through various like places and meet various characters, and like that is always the appeal of RPGs, exploring a world and like seeing all these people and seeing all these places and like just getting to just immerse yourself in a beautiful place, which is what this is, and this looks rad. And right now it is going to come out, it is slated to come out holiday 2022, so you know, not for a while, but still looking pretty dope. Next thing is Alicia, the Oblivion of the Twin Goddesses. It's like a puzzle adventure game. Again, another gorgeous game with like great music. It's got an emphasis on like puzzle solving or co-op puzzle solving. Like if you think of the game like It Takes Two, it's kind of like that. So like it's very interesting, and that like has my interest as well. That is coming out.
There was something about that this month too, wasn't there? Like them fucking trying to trademark the phrase "It Takes Two" or something like that.
Yeah,
exactly. That was
Anyway, we're onto the happy times now, so we can
times.
leave that back in the sad corpo time.
Okay, so there was a game I liked that came out a while ago called River City Girls, which is like this arcade beat 'em up, and it's a really fun one. It's got like a lot of incredible pixel art, which you've heard my thoughts on that. It's got this.
I'm still cleaning up after your thoughts on that.
Yeah, exactly. It's got this really cool like comic style or comic art style to it, and it's and a sequel has been announced, and it's just more of what made the first River City Girls good. Like you have more characters to play as, so not just the main two characters, but like 4 other characters you can play as. It has the co-op, it has like the really crunchy combat system that like just feels good no matter what skill level you're at. It's got the gorgeous pixel art, the really cool music that like you can just beat people up to. It's great. It's good stuff. I'm really happy this game's got a sequel. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is the Switch version of Omori. Amore is this indie RPG horror game, and like, I talked about this with you guys a while ago, but like, I played that game and on my PC, and God, that is an emotionally devastating game. Like, by the time I got to the end of that, like, I am like emotional wreck. Like that game, it deals with some really hard themes, some really dark themes. It's really scary, really sad, really heartwarming, and it's like by the end you are like emotionally wrung out. It is an incredible game.
So you're talking about the Switch port because you want your heart broken on the go.
I want my heart broken on the go. Yeah, I want to be on the train sobbing my heart out and everyone just being uncomfortable and like trying to scooch away from me.
Yeah. Yes. No, that tracks. All right.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
And that is what I have to say. Thank you
for
your time.
Thank you for ending on a happier note than I did and than we saw at the beginning of your section. Not because we should only be reporting happy news, but because, we got to survive too, folks. Jeff, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it was a pretty light month for me. I don't have a lot to talk about. Right off the bat, we did get a teaser trailer for the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, and that looks pretty good. We don't have like a lot yet, but the first one was just an absolutely phenomenal movie. So
we also found out it's a part 1.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was
true.
So Across the Spider-Verse, the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, is going to be a 2-part movie, a la The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah, which is, normally that kind of thing would give me a bit of pause because it's like...
But maybe it'll be like Dune.
Planning that on the onset always feels a little rough, but I'm tempted to give this one a bit more faith just because the first Into the Spider-Verse was just like an absolutely incredible movie in every regard. So
I don't know if you know this, but the first Matrix was also a pretty incredible movie in every regard.
Fair.
I didn't mean to go into this tanking my expectations for the film, but I mean, Matrix 4 is pretty fun.
At least it'll look pretty, if nothing else,
Yeah, it's perhaps good to keep your expectations reasonable,
Yeah.
But yeah, they showed a little bit of like an early scene where like Miles meets Gwen again, and it's like it's cute because like
he meets her A-Gwen.
Yeah, what?
He meets her A-Gwen.
A-Gwen, goddammit. That's good. I like that. Okay,
we meet A-Gwen.
Yeah, I don't know. Miles and like Gwen, they're adorable. I like them. And like then we get to see like a cool like sequence of like Miles and like Spider-Man. What was the year he's from? I don't think it's 2022.
What, Peter B. Parker?
No. He means fucking
future Spider-Man.
Yeah, future.
I have already forgotten. I have forgotten the teaser already. My bad.
He's not in the first one. Oh, he's like the one at the end. Future boy Spider-Man.
Oh,
is what I'm
was that the Yorma Taccone voiced Spider-Man?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
What is his name?
The post credits guy. The post credits Spider-Man.
The post credits guy.
Yeah,
what is his name?
He was voiced by Yorma Taccone.
Spider-Man 2099. Spider-Man 2099.
2099. There we go.
I was like
Spider-Man 2077.
I kept thinking 2022, and no, it's not Spider-Man 2022.
Well, listen, we just got Cyberpunk 2077, Battlefield 2042. There's just so many 20-something games out there. We're bound to be confused.
Anyways, so yeah, we had a cool little sequence where like Miles met like Spider-Man 2099, and that was pretty rad. So
I'm excited for some fucking Miguel O'Hara stuff. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yes, absolutely.
So that was one thing. Not really any new Transformers news this month. We did get a production update again for Haslab Victory Saber, but it was just, again, just like shots of molds and stuff like that. But related to that, I do have some interesting toy news to talk about. Again, it's another Haslab project, not Transformers related.
Yeah.
But is the Haslab Star Wars Black Series Rancor, which the production started in October, or not production, it was announced in October, and then the backing ended in the beginning of December, and it did not make it. And I think
it's because it's black, isn't it?
No, shut up.
It's because
the Black
I'm black.
Series,
a Star Wars story.
The Black Series is just what the Star Wars toys are called, like all the Hasbro Star Wars action figures. So this was just going to be in scale with those. Just to get into some of the details on this project. So the Rancor, obviously the big old monster from Jabba's pit, is going to be 17 and a half inches tall. Which is
ain't nobody want to think about Jabba's pit.
Oh my god, shut up. It was going to cost $350 was the backing for it, and this is the real rough part about it for me, which is its backer goal was 9,000 backers, and on the end, December 6th, the last day, it got up to 8,533. So
wait,
it was
they
only
extended it for Unicron.
Yeah,
I almost said Omicron.
And that's the kind of thing I wanted to compare it to. So this is, so far, at least to my knowledge, this is the second Haslab backer project that has failed. The first one being a basically 1-to-1 scale Cookie Monster replica. That was a while ago. That failed.
What?
But it's just interesting to me because when we were talking about Haslab Unicron, which was the big Transformers backer project that we talked about on this podcast for like a year and a half, right? Mm-hmm. It failed. It did not reach its backer goal of 8,000 backers, which is even less than this. And then they extended it. And it's just interesting to me that Hasbro clearly, they do make slightly more profit from their original brands like Transformers and stuff like that versus their licensed brands like Star Wars. So I can understand why they'd be more invested in it. There's probably an element to which they had already done like a lot of the tooling for the prototype. Like it's more of an investment going in just because Transformers have so many moving parts than this Rancor figure. And it's a shame. Like, you know, I wouldn't have bought it because I don't collect Star Wars stuff and it's $350, but it looks really nice. Like in the promo stuff.
I wonder... I would hate to be on the team of people like, I know that that's the job, is to design things that might not ever get made, but I wonder if it's like how different it feels to like design something and then have everyone see it and then have it canceled on you. Like that must be a special kind of frustration to be like, oh man, this is really cool. And if they had given us like another 2 weeks, like they did the other toy, maybe my work could have gotten out there. I don't know. I just imagine that that's a frustrating thing on both ends.
You know, I part of me thinks that like with Unicron, for example, right? There was also this issue that they announced it like a week after like a really big like toy convention. So a lot of hardcore fans had just like spent a lot of money like going to this convention and booking hotels, and then it's suddenly like, oh boom, actually in a month you want to pay another $600 that you have to pay for a product that you won't see in 2 years. So I'm thinking like part of it might have been like, oh, them thinking like, oh, we kind of fucked up the timing of that, so maybe we'll extend it a little bit. Whereas, you know, they've kind of hit their stride a little bit more now and they're starting to actually commit to their backer things. I don't know. It's just interesting. But it's also interesting is like with Unicron, I think it limited you to 2 per customer, maybe even 1. I think it was 2 per customer. The Rancor is limited to 5 per customer. So even with that, you know, is like probably a lot of people ordered it just for, you know, like for resale value and stuff like that, like ordered extras because, you know, some of these things end up paying for themselves.
They're trying to divert scalpers away from electronics and into toys.
Oh, scalpers have been in toys for a long time. Trust me.
I mean, maybe it's because like, you know, the toy is like of a Rancor, like a fairly minor thing compared to like Unicron, who's like a big Transformers villain. I don't know.
That's true. I mean, I feel like at this point, like anything that has a significant amount of screen time in the original trilogy of Star Wars is pretty much considered like a major character for them and collectors, I would think, you know.
I would even argue even characters with a negligible amount of screen time.
Yeah, like Max Rebo.
As evidenced by the Book of Boba Fett.
And I mean, the Rancor was like I mean, really, I think it's probably just like the demographic of the people that you know, buys Star Wars stuff. Like, it's just not big enough to get enough people that are willing to shell out $350 for it. Is what my major guess would be. The more interesting side of it to me is the fact that like Hasbro had kind of committed to doing Unicron regardless of whether it really passed or not, unless it was like really not even close.
Yeah,
and
Unicron
this one
was
got
too big to
so
fail.
close and they didn't just like fudge the numbers a little bit, or maybe this is the result of them fudging the numbers and it was just really nowhere near. Either way, it's kind of interesting. I don't know.
Peeling back the layers to the Haslab conspiracy.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, there's not really a lot to that. It's not going to matter to
They're putting toxins into water to make the Transformers gay.
I just thought it was kind of an interesting one since, you know, I've seen a lot of like, you know, they've been doing more and more Haslab projects since then, and a lot of them get backed, like the big giant Galactus Marvel figure that's like even taller than Unicron. There was what are some other good ones? Oh, they just G.I. Joe, one of all things, just fucking got backed, and fucking who goddamn collects G.I. Joe anymore? But anyway, I just thought that was interesting because it does look like a really cool product, but I guess it's just something that people really couldn't afford.
Yeah,
maybe it's because like Transformers and G.I. Joe and stuff are owned by Hasbro, and thus
that's right.
That's
and like
the
Star Wars, they have
costs.
to like make a deal with Disney, and that's like maybe that's why they don't really care for it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's definitely like that's what I was saying earlier with like, you know, they get more profit from their original brands versus the licensed products. But, you know, with, like, Disney, it's not like they have to go and negotiate some new deal with Disney. Like, Hasbro has the licensing rights to Star Wars. They just, you know, just part of that profit has to go to Disney. You know, it's not like a new thing that would have to be negotiated. But it definitely is less of a financial incentive for them. But, yeah, because, like, when I think maybe a month or two ago, I talked about how they, like, put out, like, their quarterly earnings, and it was like showing like an increase in profits in their original brands and like a slight decrease in profits from their licensed brands. I don't know. It's all interesting. I don't know enough about it, but anyway, that's pretty much all there is to that. And that's all I got.
Cool. Sounds good. Let's take it into the editor's room. Let's do some ratings. So we're going to sit around here, around the table, have a little powwow. We're each going to nominate a story that we brought today as our top story for the month. Something that we think that if you're going to walk away paying attention to only a single thing that we've said in this hour plus of talking, what should it be? What's the information you should carry forward and keep talking about? Let's go with nominations. Chowder, you seem to have some thoughts. What's your nomination?
I would. So I'm sure we're probably going to come to a different conclusion about what's the most important collectively. But like personally, I would like to nominate Omori because that game is incredible. I need you guys to play that. I need someone to experience what I experienced, so I can.
How much does it cost?
It's not that much
on the Switch.
It's not out on the Switch yet. It's going to be out on the Switch at the end of 2022 or something like that.
Oh, at the end of the year. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I fucking hope the Steam Deck comes
it's
to
also
exist,
it's also on PC. So
yeah, I have a Mac and I don't.
Wait, no, I'm pretty sure it is compatible with Mac. Let me double check real quick.
Is it a Steam? It's on Steam.
It's on Steam. Yep.
Yeah. Tell you what, I won't join you in that for nomination, but I will check out the game itself. I promise. I will do that.
Yeah.
I will certainly do that.
Okay, so I don't think it's for Mac. I think it's just
most indie games are not.
Yeah, and like this game went through them. Yeah, that's fair enough. When you get the chance, please play Amore. It is a game that I think anyone who can handle the intense themes, because like there's a trigger warning at the beginning, and that trigger warning is no joke. But yeah, anyone who can handle it, I think I would highly recommend it. It's a great experience.
And was your story around that a sequel, or just that it's coming to the Switch next year?
It's coming to the Switch.
Okay, so there's no sequel for it. That's just
yeah.
Okay. So Chowder nominates Amore. Let's see. I think I really want to nominate. I know that it's technically beginning of January, but I really.
Spring 2022. So sooner than
much sooner. Okay. Yeah. I would really like to nominate the story that Chowder brought about the Square Enix CEO letter about the NFTs.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be a swift and powerful condemnation of this kind of conversation around NFTs, because and again, I'm going to point to that Paul Tassi article just because I think it is a very salient comparison to compare this to the Oblivion horse armor. For those that don't know, Oblivion, the 2006 Elder Scrolls 4 by Bethesda, was one of the first games to include microtransactions for cosmetic items. And if you thought people were angry about microtransactions now, you should have seen how angry they were the first time.
Yeah,
it was rugged. And I think that it is easy to compare the idea of NFTs in video games as like the new microtransactions, except for the fact that microtransactions make sense on paper. It's sell smaller things. Yeah. NFTs in video games as a concept doesn't make sense. I'm saying the sentence NFTs in video games. What does that functionally mean?
Yeah.
There is so much more to the conversation than just creating a non-fungible token to restrict ownership of an asset. It goes so far beyond that on so many design levels, on marketing levels, the scope of the thing. It is so much bigger than that, and this letter is part of, a strategy that we're going to see in a ton of companies who embrace this technology because it is profitable for them. And we've already discussed the reasons it's a bad idea for consumers, for the environment, just across the board. It is such a shallow, stupid promise that does not even scratch the surface of what this technology could mean, and instead focuses on what it could earn. Spoiler alert, it's not going to do great, because none of us want it. I'm telling you, I'm a gamer. A lot of us are gamers. Nobody cares.
I wish that were true. I mean, like a lot of, I don't know. The people that
care are the people that invest in NFTs. Gamers don't care about this as a thing to enhance their experience.
No,
the people
I'm just
that
saying
are
that
interested in NFTs
be...
and the blockchain and investing in this care.
But I will say that probably, like, there's probably a pretty good, I mean, I don't know if crossover is the right word, but I would imagine most people that, like, you know, are like dude bros that want to invest in NFTs and shit like that, like, probably also dip their toe in you know, in a lot of video games too. Like, it's not it's like a square rectangle kind of thing, you know. It's like not every gamer is an NFT bro, but probably every NFT bro is a gamer, right?
But those those NFT bros aren't sitting there saying, "Hey, I want restricted access to certain things in my MMO." That's not what they're saying.
No.
What they're saying is, how do we use this to make money in games? It is two completely different conversations, and people are trying to link them because it sounds like it's going to make money, but I have yet to see a salient argument for how you can actually monetize this in games in a way that will appeal to gamers. And, you know, I think that's it. It doesn't appeal to gamers as a consumer item. Strip whether or not you are an NFT bro on the side. Do you want to have to, like, play your game to earn money when gaming is your fucking hobby? It's just
and then you can spend all the money that you earn from the NFTs on the gaming, on the microtransactions.
Yeah, exactly. They're trying to create a fucking they're trying to close the loop even further than microtransactions, but it's not even an apt analogy. So that's
fucking microtransactions might be scummy sometimes, but at least they're not like literally eroding the planet with how much server space they take up.
Exactly.
Okay, so real quick.
What is
Omori is on the Mac, so you know, if you want to do it on Switch in spring or get it on Mac.
I can probably check it out on my Mac later this month. Nice. So Jeff, I'm sorry I took so long texting about it again, but what's your nomination?
Yeah, I'm willing to second your NFT thing. I think going into this, my original inclination was like, you know, something that I'm, you know, excited about seeing, as I was actually kind of looking forward to the Halo show. But I don't think we have really enough concrete stuff on that for me yet to be like,
it's a 1 minute
super
teaser.
Excited about it. So
I'm sure we'll get more down the road.
Yeah, so I think that the NFT thing is probably the most relevant.
Yeah,
so, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, putting aside my own personal bias, I'd put my vote to the NFT.
Cool. So if you haven't already, read this letter from the president of Square Enix and read all the fucking responses to it. Read that Paul Tassi article. It is just... It is miserable. The letter sounds like an address to shareholders that got passed around to gamers. And I don't know if you know this. Gamers are an angry, fickle, cynical bunch. And we don't enjoy that. So, it's just the reaction has been universally pretty cold. And I would like to see that continue.
Because I would really, frankly, I would like to see more universally cold reactions towards NFTs in general. It's something that's just like, when it first started coming out, I was thinking like, wow, this is real bad. And then like hearing more about the environmental aspect, I'm like, this is real bad. And then just like looking around to the public reaction, and I'm like, y'all aren't as mad about this as I thought we should all be.
That's because some people want to make money off of it. And like, the economic side of things is like interest, and that's part of why I have a hard time condemning it, because I do not fully understand the finances and technology at play. But also, like, having just watched the movie,
I know that it's been thrown around, but it really is a case of the only ones making money are the ones that got in there first and then get out early.
I just like, but even the promise of what the idea of blockchain-based distribution and decentralization of information could mean, like, this feels like the movie Don't Look Up, where it's just like, oh, there's a natural disaster, but it could create some good jobs. And I'm like, why? Why are we focused on just the money side of this? Wait a minute, I just answered my own question. And it's infuriating. But that about wraps.
That movie is infuriating to watch, not because it's bad. It's very good. It's just like you watch it.
I hope we can have a real conversation about Don't Look Up sometimes too. That came out this past month, an Adam McKay movie on Netflix.
I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. But I'm gonna wrap up this conversation. Thank you so much, the two of you, for joining me in this roller coaster of emotions. Did perk up my mood, all things considered, despite hearing the trash news about Ken Levine and NFTs. And of course, there's always stuff to look at that we did not cover over the past month, but these are just the things that we found interesting. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a regular old book club episode talking about Spider-Man No Way Home and all the alternate titles you could possibly conceive of for that film. It was a very fun conversation, and I think you'll enjoy listening to it because it's not just us gushing. I think I had some really fun. It recaptured the feeling of sitting in a room with you guys and just saying, like, why did this work? Why didn't this work? And really getting into it. Big fun. Really loved having that talk.
And for once, we fucking got off our ass and actually recorded it properly in advance.
Yeah, so it's a fun conversation that'll be coming your way in about 2 weeks. And at the beginning of February, we will be back with a recap of the news for January, where our top story will be Internet kicks Square Enix CEO in the teeth. I have been Colin Ketchum.
Hope.
You can find me online. I recently did an edit for a podcast called The Greatest Discovery, where they review Star Trek Discovery, which, again, news we didn't cover. Season 4 is pretty good. And I got to do an edit of one of the most popular podcasts for Star Trek, and it was really, really fun and exciting, so you can go check out. It's called Zora Could Be Tubining. Just like this podcast, the titles are inscrutable and big turnoffs, but that's what I picked, so here we are. Who else am I with? Where can we find you?
Hi, I'm Timel or Chowder, whichever you prefer. You can find me on Twitter at Untitled Chapter. I'm also a part of our sister podcast, Dice Populi. I'm currently DMing the current story arc and also agonizing over whether I'm good enough to get something good out of that story arc, or if that'll...
You've gotten some good-ass shit out of this story. What we need is players that know how to follow the breadcrumbs left by the Dungeon Master.
It's fine. All right.
Oh, yeah,
Jeff?
Dish that goss. You hear that, Ryan, Pat, Matt? Colin just said you ain't worth shit.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, well, anyway, I can't. Episodes aren't out yet. I'm going to stop talking.
And I've been Jeff Levitt. If you want to find me, I mean, I don't do a whole lot anymore. I've got a YouTube channel where I do toy reviews. So if that's something that sounds vaguely interesting to you, that is Alchemist Prime Reviews on YouTube. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got going on right now.
Yeah, so those of you that are still with us, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoy these podcasts, share them with your friends. Say like, hey, here's a fun talk where these guys yelled about NFTs. And then when you say that, you'll know who your true friends really are, because some people will be like, I want to listen to that. And other people will be like, well, actually, can I explain the blockchain to you? And those are the friends you don't need to keep around anymore.
Yep.
So we'll be back in a couple of weeks, and we hope to see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Since Chowder went before me this time, I figured it was my responsibility to say ciao.
This episode of the Common Geeking Program is hosted by me, Colin Ketchum, joined by Jeff Levitt and Timel Chowdhury. This episode is sponsored by an absurd amount of chocolate inside my stomach right now. The podcast is created by myself and Jeff Levitt, with this episode edited by me and original music also by me. As we just stated, we'll be back in 2 weeks with an episode about Spider-Man, and boy howdy, was that a fun time. And after that, 2 more weeks before a briefing program. If you ever want to see more, check out commongeekingprogram.com. And thank you for listening to this. I am ready to go. Take your times getting situated, and then we can clap.
Yep, just want to pull up one more article.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get... Okay.
Like, I'm typing in Square Enix NFT, and I'm hoping...
Oh, yeah. Fuck. Oh, okay. That's the story you're talking about. All right.
And I'm hoping the search engine understands that I want an article about it, not actual NFTs.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can just Google is the Square Enix president put out a letter. You can just pull that up, I'm sure, pretty easily if you keyword president and letter, because it's like a 3-page thing. Hold on, I gotta grab some eye drops.
No, I'm not trying to look up. It's not. Ugh.
Yep, there it is.
No, you fucker. That's not. Whatever. All right. I'm ready. Whenever, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and clap at 6:10, which is a little over 10 seconds away.
10 seconds.
But it's not even close to 5 seconds.
Now
it's 5 seconds.
I said 10 seconds the first time.
He did.
Oh.
He just said it with the energy of 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It sounded like 5 seconds to me.
Yeah.
That's just what you wanted to hear.
Yeah, we're conditioned for that.